Hello, chess lovers. Here I am again, Björn Knöppel, and Thomas will ask me some questions about one of my hard things, and that's Gambits, how to play with Gambits, both as white and as black. So come on, Thomas. Whatever you want.
Yeah, hello Björn. I have always been very curious about why have you been fascinated of Gambits whole your chess life?
I think that Fritz Diemer in the 70s, 80s had some games I saw in the books about Black by Diemer Gambit.
Yeah, you mean this variation?
This variation. And if black takes, you can play knight there, and black usually play this, and then they play this, or the modern way this. But we can talk about it later. But that was the start of, what should I say, of my interest of Gambits, because
Black by Diemer Gambit.
Black by Diemer Gambit in this case. But afterwards I was recognizing that if you sacrifice a pawn in the opening, and that's special for white but also for black, you get some tempo instead of material. You get tempo. So for the pawn you get a move more because your opponent has to take the pawn, and then you get a move more, and that you can use for initiative and attack. So I got a big thought about what do I get if I give away a pawn in the opening. And that was the start of my research for Gambits, both as black and as white. And then I recognized that there is huge combinations of different Gambits, both as white and as black. And that fascinated me a lot. And then also that in the middle game, you can also sacrifice a pawn or two to get a kingside attack for 2 pawns, an initiative and development, or a pawn for more development time. So that interest increases all the time, and now I have been probing a Gambit here and there, both as white and as black. Yes.
But what do you say about such gambits like, for example, King's Gambit? Have you been fascinated?
It's a very sharp gambit as white, and but there are some, tools for black to counter this, counter gambits against the King's Gambit.
Maybe Falkbeer's
D5, for
counter
instance.
gambit, yeah.
And also Bobby Fischer played against the King's Gambit from Boris Spassky, and he had a kind of thought about D6 in several positions. But I will talk about this later on.
Yeah, but this is the best move, right?
This is the main move.
The main variation.
And then D6 as fourth. And here there are several different
variations. We also have Steiner's Gambit. This is very interesting.
Very interesting, yes.
So.
But the normal, ordinary people don't play like this. They're afraid of giving away their pawns, so they play the Queen's Gambit or the Spanish and so forth. And
do you think Queen's Gambit is a gambit?
It's actually not a gambit, but they say a gambit because in the beginning you can sacrifice a pawn on c4, but it's not a gambit because black got heavy counter play if he plays the right thing here.
Yeah, so, if you go to Queen A4, black can play Queen C6. So it looks like a gambit. I mean, white is a pawn down.
But so, it's not a gambit.
But it's not.
Not in actual meaning. White kept gambit the pawn with g3, and let black take there, but still they get pressure on the queen side with a4, b3, and so forth.
Yeah, black has lost control over the center by taking on c4. So
But
white will.
We will come to that later on. But that's another way. And as black, you have many. Where if you talk about Queen's Gambit, I played black against Queen's Gambit this way: d4, d5, d5, c4, and e5. That's a very interesting gambit called the Albin counter gambit.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, and I will talk a bit about it later on. That's a very interesting gambit, for instance. Yes, and then you have the Benoni structure gambits as well, the Benke and so forth, like d4, knight f6, c4, and c5, d5. If you play g6, d6, e6, you come to the Benoni. But if you play b5, you come to a gambit. You sacrifice a pawn, but you get a huge development on the queen side. And that's a Benke gambit, and so forth. Also very interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have talked about it earlier on our channel. You know, this game where between Taimanov, Bronstein, Neuhaus, Zürich, 1953, is one of the first games. And also Eric Lundin played this.
Yes. There are so many interesting ways to play. Magnus Carlsen has even shown another obscure gambit, which is a new idea. You can think about it. That's if white play d4, knight f6, c4, and b5.
Oh, I don't know about.
No, this is.
Has Magnus Carlsen played that?
Magnus Carlsen has shown that in a few games. If you take here, you can even play c6. It sets some significance with the Benke, but not really. And if you take here, you can play this, but it's not quite correct, but still gives initiative. Like I said before, you get some development opportunity against a pawn or so, and that makes the things complicated matter, because white has all the pieces still on the background and white is already developing a few pieces. So it's not always true that the pawns counts for advantage.
No, activity counts.
Or activity.
As well.
Yes,
but
activity counts.
I think that was
an interesting idea for Magnus Carlsen, for instance.
Yeah, maybe it's an inspiration from this variation in the Nim's Indian defense, which I've actually played myself in serious games.
Yeah.
And it's this
B5,
one.
yeah.
It's the same idea,
Because,
you know? Yeah,
because
exactly
you
the
get
same idea.
You get the white squares in the center.
So maybe Carlsen got the idea from this opening.
Could be. It's not. Yeah. It's.
But now the queen is a little bit exposed, so
Yeah, it is.
I think this gambit seems more sound than.
Yeah, that was
To do
an
it
idea
earlier.
from Magnus. And here you have developed the pieces already, so you get some compensation for the gambit, for the development. Yes. So that's very interesting. So gambits, what gambit does is, if you play in a tournament game and you play a gambit, you higher the risk in the game, of course, but also you get bigger winning chances and of course bigger losing chances as well, or
Excluding
losing,
draws.
or
Win or
you
lose.
exclude, yes,
All in.
the draw threat gets lower indeed. So it's more to win or lose if you play a gambit. So that's why I think a gambit can be very interesting indeed. I can also tell you that white has some very interesting gambit, like the center gambit, like this e4, e5. Then the black thinks it will be Spanish or Scottish or whatever, but white could play this. And if you take here, you can get center gambit. If you take here,
Bishop c4 maybe.
so bishop c4,
Yeah.
we call it the Danish gambit. That's just to show you how rich the position is. I will go in more in depth later on, but that's another way of playing gambit in an open games, for instance. And even in Sicilian, there are gambits.
Morra gambit.
Mora gambit. Yeah,
Maybe
Mora
we should show
gambit. So
that
you have in Sicilian, which one of the most played games ever, you play d4. And of course, if you play d takes c4, c3, after that, it's a gambit. Because if you take there, well, white get more development time, and black has to defend more passively. But still, a pawn is a pawn, so white has to
It
show
certainly is.
that it gets something for it.
And the pawns white has given away here are central pawns. I mean,
Yeah, so it's not so easy. But still, it's unbalanced, and you can't play for a draw. You have to play for a win or lose. So that's much tougher way to play. That makes it very interesting to play gambits indeed. But you can't play gambits all the time, because then the opponent will know that you play gambits. But you have to choose when to play gambits. Like psychological, is your player, your opponent you play against, is he a cautious player, or is he an advantage player, or likes he positional games, or like he tactical games? All that counts to choose if you will play a gambit or not. But still, the games are usually more fun to play if you gambit a pawn in the opening than the ordinary games that everyone already knows, in my opinion.
do you play gambits in email games, correspondence games?
Yeah, I did. I have played the Albin Counter Gambit, for instance. I even played the Budapest Gambit, another very interesting gambit like this.
Yeah.
And you play e5. That's called the Budapest Gambit, and the time is that you play this, you play,
knight e4.
And you attack here, and so forth. It's also very interesting.
Yeah, and Fajarovic gambit after knight e4.
Yeah, you can
What do you
play
think?
This is very sharp, and you take very high risks as black, but still you can surprise and win. But it's a very interesting gambit indeed. So, and I could show you at least 8-10 other openings with gambit motifs, but I think this is just a little teaser what's coming. I will talk a little bit about gambits, both as white as in black, but that will be a little bit further on in the future. But it's coming. It's one of my specialties to look at it.
It will be very interesting to listen to those videos in the future.
Yeah, my soul is that I like to take initiative, I like to attack, but that can also be a drawback. But Gambit suits very well with that mindset, yes.
Yeah.
So we will look forward to see about the Gambit word. So thank you very much for this. See you later.
Yeah, thanks you too, Björn.